Hello and welcome to the Celtic Cast On podcast. My name is Kelly and I'm coming to you from the beautiful east coast of Canada. It's a beautiful day out today, so I thought I'd kind of try outdoors to record, see if the birds can keep quiet enough, but we'll give it a go and see how it turns out. So today is July 30th. We are well into summer and we have been summering it up a lot. I have quite a bit to show you, so let's just jump in and get started. So it is full-on summer here. We are a month into summer holidays. We have been at swimming lessons. We had 3 weeks of everyday swimming lessons. Then we had a little vacation time where we took some time as a family and did some fun things, which I'll show you a little bit about later on. And now we're into some time at home, and then we're going to be going off again on the weekends. So it's busy and it's fun and it's summer, and we're going to enjoy it all before it's all over and done with. And we're back to school. So let's get started and I'll show you what I've been up to. So my first FO is the pinstripe socks. Now I did show you this on the last episode, so you will have seen the first one, but I do have two finished socks. Now the first one I knit on a 12-inch circular, and the second one I knit, actually it's this way, 12-inch circular, and this one I knit on my DPNs. Difference? Absolutely. My DPN sock is so much tighter and sturdier than the 12-inch circular. The 12-inch circular seems to be very loose and floppy almost, which is not what I prefer in a sock. So I'm not quite sure if I'm going to knit this one again on a DPN, or I don't know if it'll bother me when I wear them, like with each foot feeling different. I don't know if that'll bother me or not yet. So for now they're done. I'm going to call them done. I won't be using a 12-inch circular again, but I did acquire some 9-inch circulars from Mars of Hey Brownberry. Mars, I can never say your podcast name properly, ever. I always have to edit myself out. The Hey Brownberry podcast, which I will talk about in a little bit. So definitely no more 12-inch circulars for me. I'm still on the DPNs, but I'm glad to call these done. So this is the pinstripe sock pattern from Julia Swart, and the yarn is Knit Picks Felici in the colorway Splash. I love Knit Picks Felici. I think it's a very sturdy yarn and it holds up really well. It does pill a bit if you wear them to bed a lot, like I might, but that's to be expected. So I really like this yarn. And it doesn't seem, I haven't worn through a pair of Knit Picks socks yet, and the color has not faded, which I find on some indie dyers I've had their self-striping socks, the colors just fade right off the bottom. So this is my chosen yarn right now. I do like the Arnie and Carlos as well, but I have more experience with the Knit Picks Felici, so we will see. So that's the first FO. The next FO is right here. I finished my herbarium, did I say that right? Herbarium shawl by Lisa Hume of of Maliha Designs. Malia? Maybe it's Malia. I don't know. Lisa Hume, anyway. So this is my finished shawl. The red is the Wool Miser, if you remember, and the gray was a Knit Picks stroll, just in a plain undyed. And I got Mars of the Hey Brownberry podcast to overdye it for me. So I really love how it turned out. And once I just got down and just knit it, it flew off the needles. But it's super beautiful. I really love Lisa's patterns. I'm sure I'll be knitting more of her patterns in the future, but this, it just looks so complicated, but it is so stinking easy to knit. So yes, this is going to be my beautiful fall shawl. I'm gonna wear this all the time. Love it. So that's my other finished object. I do have another finished object. I just finished another test knit for Justina from Liddy's Knits. I always say no more test knits, and I usually have a backup person or two that are supposed to keep me in line. So I texted Sarah when I saw Justina had put up a call to test a new top that she had out made in linen. And when I messaged her, I'm like, check this out. She didn't, I said, there's a test knit going on. And right then she should have said, you're not test knitting. No more test knits. You said no more. But she didn't. She egged me on. She said, oh, it's lovely. It would look beautiful on. So I ended up testing it. But I don't have finished pictures of it yet. And I'm all set to go out after, so I didn't want to put it on right now. So I will show you in the next podcast once I've got everything all set for it. So those are my two FOs, but I have been working on a lot of whips, so let me show you what I've been up to there. All right, my first whip should have been done. Let me just fix this shawl, it's gonna drive me nuts. So my first whip should have been done over a week ago, but I ended up having to order some more yarn for it, and then we went away for a few days and I had to get a test knit done, so it didn't get done on time, but I'm still going to make it. So this is the pattern called Butterfly and Cocoon by Susan B. Anderson. It is in the second edition, I believe, of the Making magazine, but it is now available on Ravelry as a separate pattern. So I have the little cocoon finished. So it's a little cocoon and then it's a stuffy butterfly that fits inside the cocoon. So you can see it's kind of like a little pea pod. So I finished the cocoon and then I had to order, I'm using Stylecraft's double knit, which I ordered from Love Knitting. I really love it. It's 100% acrylic, but I really love this yarn. It does not feel like the acrylic that you would find in North America at all. Completely different. And so I needed a creamy color because T had certain colors that she wanted the butterfly to be. So I had to order the cream. The cream finally came in, so now I can start knitting the body. So I know it won't take me long once I get started with that. It's just I haven't been home long enough to sit down and get the stuffing out and everything I need to start it. So that's going to be a fun project. There will be two of these because, of course, this was supposed to be for T's friend's birthday, but obviously I didn't get it finished, so of course I need to knit one for T as well, so they have something to play with together. So that's going to be finished hopefully next time I talk to you. So that's the first whip. The second whip, oh, and my birdie bag. I'm sure you're sick and tired of me talking about birdie bags, but I still love it. Eldenwood Craft on Etsy. All right, so the next one is something, this has been a long whip. I started this last summer, and I've been kind of knitting it on and off. I lost yarn for a while. I finally found it and picked it back up. So I'll show you what progress I've made. Ooh, this looks like a tangle mess. This is the Wisteria cardigan, and it's by Amy Christoffers. So I had the back done last time, so I actually finished a front. Just see what side. So this is a front, and it kind of wraps around my neck to join. So it's a lacy pattern. It's going to open up a lot more once I get it blocked. But that's the ribbing band that you kind of knit as you go. So I have a front, and I already had the back piece finished. Now, my one qualm with this pattern is that the lace is not something that's easily repeatable. You can't memorize it in your head. It's kind of like I have to read every line and I have to say it over and over and over again in my head while I'm knitting it. So it's not really, lace for me is not enjoyable to knit most of the time, but especially when you have a pattern that you can't memorize in your head, that really messes me up. So it's taking a long time to do this, but it's going to be beautiful when it's finished. So that's the back, and then I have started the ribbing of the front. And this obviously isn't a pattern that I can take anywhere with me, because I have to think about what I'm doing and that, so it's a stay-home project. But I'm hoping to get the front done soon, and then it's onto the sleeves. So that is knit in Elspeth Lavold Silky Wool. Now I had this knit almost to a dress once, but I ripped it out because I really like the look of, focus. I really like the look of this cardigan, and I thought I would wear it more than I would the dress. So that is my second WIP. Moving on to a little bit farther ahead on that one. And again, this is another Eldenwood craft bag, and that's my Robin bag. Oh, I love him so. He's so cute. Now, what else do I have to show you? Aha, the next up is, I showed you in the last podcast, I had reviewed some yarn from Bijou Basin. Well, they were in contact with me again, and they offered to send me some more yarn. So I was very happy to get this kind of yarn from their collection. It's called Tibetan Dream. Now this is 75% yak and 15%, or sorry, 85% yak down and 15% nylon. And they sent me the most gorgeous color. Now, they don't have color names on their ball bands, and I forget which one this is, but I will put it at the bottom. But the number says 70073. But it's this beautiful green. And again, first touch, I was surprised at how soft it is. I don't know why. I thought it was kind of going to be prickly too, but it's a beautifully soft yarn. Lots of spring in it. And I have started a pair of socks with this. Now, I have just started the socks, so there's not much to see right now, but what's going on here now? There. Okay, so this is the start of a Rachel Coopy pattern. If you haven't heard of Rachel Coopy, you definitely need to look her up. She has millions of patterns, sock patterns, and they're all beautiful. So I just started into the pattern in here, but I will show you in a second what the pattern looks like. There. So this is the sock that I am working on. So you can see how much the pattern is really going to pop out on the sock, especially in that lovely green color that's going on here. So I'm very excited to get these going. And I'm very excited to see how this sock yarn wears too. It feels beautiful. It's beautifully soft. I don't know, I think it's going to be good. I'm excited. Now I need to go on their website and get one of those Baby Got Yak pins. Have you guys seen those enamel pins that they just came out with? It has a little yak knitting and it says Baby Got Yak. I love it. So that's my progress. Not much, but I'm going to, this is kind of going to be my go-to project until I get them done, so I can give you a good review on what I think of this yarn. So again, it's Tibetan Dream by Bijou Basin. And I'm very excited to give this smushiness a go. And those, I'm knitting the socks on my regular DPNs, my Carbons 2.25. Now I have one more WIP to show you. So I had talked to you before with these socks, the pinstripes, that I had knit with a 12-inch circular. And if you saw my last podcast, you will have heard of my drama with the 12-inch circulars, but basically it was horrible to knit a sock with a 12-inch circular, which was recommended to me, so I was not very, I should say happy, but I was kind of bummed out about that, that it didn't turn out the way I wanted it to. But last weekend, actually it it'll be a week tomorrow. Mars from the Hey Brownberry podcast came to my town. She was on vacation with her family, and they were actually staying in the city closest to me, just 10 minutes away. So I was like, we have to meet. So I took her out. We had a little picnic at the park by the water, and we did some knitting. We, of course, exchanged some gifts, and she gifted me a set of the ChiaoGoo 9-inch circulars. So it's the same brand as I had with the 12-inch, except now it's a 9-inch. And so on my way back from our little vacation that we just had, I decided I was going to grab some plain sock yarn and do some plain socks and see how I like the 9-inch circulars. So this is, I don't have the tag with me. I think it's on the table in the kitchen. This is the Time Traveler colorway, and it's, again, Knit Picks Fleecy. I have a lot of Fleecy to knit through, so you may see it multiple times while I'm knitting socks. This was a gift from Sarah, who has been on the podcast before, and the needles were a gift from Mars. So these are my gifty socks. So this is how it's striping up, and here is my 9-inch circular. I just started the heel flap. So now, thoughts so far. I love that I don't have to move my needle around to not get a jog where my DPNs lie. The whole way around this, you cannot tell where I started or where I ended. That's a bonus. My hands are getting used to the 9-inch circulars. I would say that the 12 inches were more comfy because they had a bend where that kind of like you held your fingers on. But as far as knitting, you just couldn't knit a sock with them. So I love that it's there are no jogs. It's knitting up nice. Now I do find that I knit looser with these than I do with my DPNs. So instead of knitting a 64 stitch sock, I cast on for a 60 stitch sock. So I'm gonna see what the difference is. Well, actually, you can probably see the difference. Yeah, so it's gonna be a little bit tighter. And this was the 12-inch circular one. Yeah, so far I'm enjoying them. I'm kind of curious of how the heel flap and gusset's going to go with the 9-inch, because there's going to be quite a few stitches there. So we'll see how that goes, but as of right now I like them. I don't think I could just solely knit socks with these needles all the time, because I kind of feel it in my little fingers. I kind of need something to hang on to with my little finger, and you don't get that with a 9-inch circular. But I'm liking them so far. It's not a bad experience. So I'm going to keep you posted on these once I get this sock and the next sock finished, and I will let you know how I go with these. So that's my current sock, just a vanilla sock to try out how these needles are going to work. So that's my last whip that I have to show you right now. Let's move into Sew What, because I have a finished object to show you there. So with Sew What this week, I have a finished object to show you. I don't physically have it here, but I have some pictures to show you. And if you are on my Instagram, you've probably already seen them. I did a table runner for T's teacher for the end of year gift. And it's the first time I've ever done something like this. So I used the Moda True Blue charm pack and a white charm pack, and then I bought one of the coordinating fabrics for the backing. So I had lots of time. I did the front, that was no problem, and I didn't actually have the backing fabric. I didn't order it when I ordered the charm pack, which I now know better. But at the time I didn't, so I went into my local fabric store, which is lacking in all of the modern type fabrics that I would want to use. And I came home with enough yardage to do the backing, and when I put it up against it, I just thought, I spent so much time making the front and it's beautiful, and I don't want to put this fabric on the back. It didn't go with it, and it just kind of, it didn't make it look as nice as it should have been. So I ordered online, and of course that took for a while to come, and by the time I got it finished, we're looking at sewing on the binding the night before school ends. Go figure. And I had never sewn on a binding before because with my first quilt that I did, I just sewed it on with the machine. But this one I wanted to hand sew because it was a table runner and it was going to be used a lot and seen. So I wouldn't say that I have mastered sewing the binding on by hand yet, but I got it finished and it was to the best of my ability right now. So I'm very happy with it, and it could have gone on my table. It matched the colors in my dining room and living room perfectly, but I have to give it away. But I heard that she did like it, and she said she was going to put it right on her table, so I'm very happy with that. So you can see some of the pictures of the finished runner here. So I just did half square triangle squares on the front and did a white binding. I thought if I did a colored binding it would kind of take away from all the colors that were on the top. And then I chose one of the coordinating fabrics for the backing fabric. So that was my first table runner. There will be more in my future because I want to do one for my table, but I have plans for my husband to make me a table for our living room. So I'm hoping that once he makes it, then I'll make a new runner for it. I don't have any runner right now, but I'm hoping to make a runner for it. So this summer we decided that we weren't going to be taking any trips really out of the province. We decided that we were going to explore a little bit around New Brunswick because there are tons of places that we have never even been to in the province, and we thought it would be kind of cool to check out what's in your area. It's something that I think a lot of us do, that we just live here and we take it all for granted, and we don't see what's around us a lot of the time. So we've been exploring New Brunswick. One of the things on my bucket list is to visit every one of the covered bridges that are in New Brunswick. Now, New Brunswick is kind of known for how many covered bridges there are in the province. It's kind of part of our heritage. And there are 60 covered bridges. I think there's actually 61, but I don't know if that one's still in working order or still there. So I want to visit every one of them. So we started the first one while we were on a little vacation. We went to Boys Town, New Brunswick, which is where my husband is from originally. You will either get two replies when you say you're going to Boys Town. It will be either, "Where's that?" or "Whoa, you're going to the sticks." So it is geographically in the center of the province. It used to be a booming town, and sadly a lot of that boom has left. And I've been kind of researching a little bit more about it, and I have some books that are sitting at the library waiting for me. But back in the day, Boys Town used to be one of the main stops of the railway system. It still is a very prevalent area for hunting and fishing. It's right on the Miramichi River. So a lot of people from the States, like Maine and that, they either buy cabins or cottages up there and come during the summer or whenever the season's hunting or fishing, whatever they do, or they rent, just come up and rent a cabin. So one of the places that you can rent cabins at is actually where we rented when we went up there for a couple of days. So we rented at Wilson's, and Wilson's is right on the water. They do tubing adventures, they do canoeing adventures. We've gone canoeing with them in the past, but they also have these little cottages all along the river. And so we rented one of those for a couple of nights, and I was very surprised at how nice they were. I wasn't expecting much. I mean, it's a cabin in the woods, but I'll include some pictures here. They were really well furnished, with 2 big bedrooms. I mean, we could have stayed there. We wanted to stay there for 3 nights, but we couldn't because they were already booked. But we will definitely be going back. So while we were there, you look out onto the water from your cabin, and just beside the water is what used to be the railroad track, and it's now a 4-wheeler trail, and you can go anywhere from that trail. It's pretty amazing. So we went right through to the next town, which is Doketown, on the side-by-side, and we had some lunch there, drove all the way back. You go the other way and it goes all the way in the other direction again. I mean, you can go for miles and miles and miles on these tracks, and the great thing is that they're follow right along the water, so you have a beautiful view while you're going, but you're still in the woods. So either side of you there are trees, but you can still see the water through this side of the trees. So it was really nice. We also used that same trail to bike on. It's completely flat where we were, so we could bike with T forever and she wouldn't get tired. So we biked to the Priceville Swinging Bridge. This is something that we visit every time that we go to Boys Town. It's just kind of what we do. So we went to the Swinging Bridge, and we met a dog called Murphy Brown, which was fun. I always love meeting dogs from everywhere and hearing their names, but when the man said that her name was Murphy, I was kind of like, that kind of sounds like a boy's name. And then he said Murphy Brown, and then I was like, oh, Murphy Brown, the show. So yes, we went to the Swinging Bridge. We also went to the Woodsman's Museum. Now this museum is a museum of central New Brunswick, and it shows kind of the lifestyle and the living conditions of the people that used to harvest the trees from the area before we had big giant machines and that. I'll insert some pictures so you can see their cabin, where like 20 people would sleep in one bed, and the kitchen area that they would have in the little huts. There's also a trapper's hut, and there is the Hooper, which is a train, but it wasn't running when we were there. But it used to be a train that ran through the Boys Town area. And I do have a book at the library waiting for me about the Hooper and the men who used to run it. So I'm excited to see more about that. So we enjoyed our few days in central New Brunswick, and we got to see our first covered bridge. Well, not see our first covered bridge, but we took a picture as a family of 4 with covered bridge number 1 that we're putting on our list. So you will have also seen in the video that we did visit covered bridge number 2, which was at Magnetic Hill. Now this is a very touristy area. There's a zoo there, a water park, and Magnetic Hill, which basically is a hill that you drive down, you park at the bottom in neutral, and it's a kind of an optical illusion that if you sit in neutral, you will roll back up the hill. So it's kind of one of the big things of the area of Moncton. So that was the second covered bridge that we went to. Now it's kind of cool about this bridge because it was originally in a different area in a spot called Parkingdale, and when they moved the bridge, they had to make sure that this bridge was going to be able to withstand a lot of heavy traffic. There are tons of tour buses and motor coaches that go over it daily. So that on top of all the people going to the zoo and the water park, it was going to be a heavy traffic area. So they had to make accommodations for that when they did move it over. So that's kind of a neat thing about that bridge. So we will be heading out on another adventure soon. I'm kind of iffy about this adventure, but we're going to Halifax, Nova Scotia, for a couple of nights. We are going to a wedding there, and the wedding is on a boat. It's one of the tall ships, which sounds kind of cool, but when you have severe motion sickness, it could be a very big deal, not in a good way. I can't take anything for it because I am still feeding the baby. So it's going to be an interesting night, and hopefully I don't puke on my dress. So let's move on to the last thing. I have a little cross stitch to show you. Before cross stitch, I want to show you something coming down the line. So of course I finished my top that I was telling you about. So while I'm knitting my socks, I'm kind of thinking about what I'm going to be knitting next and what I want to work on. So this is a Carol Feller pattern. Now I have test knit for Carol Feller in the past, and it has been years since I have knit a Carol Feller pattern. If you haven't tried her patterns before, they are wonderful and I would highly recommend them. Her kind of company name is Stolen Stitches, and I will show you. This is what I'm going to be knitting. It's called Spritz Stripes. Now my printer did a funky thing here, but it's a lace top. So all the body is lace, and then the sleeves from here down are solid stockinette stitch. And I'm going to be knitting it in this Madeline Tosh light, and the colorway is Betty Draper Blues. So I think I'm really gonna like this. Kind of wish I had this color in a yarn right now. I think I like that too. But this is gonna be what I'm knitting it with. So I'm gonna be winding the yarn for it, but I shouldn't say I have to finish my socks first because the lace looks really easy on this, and I'm thinking about taking it in the car on the way to Halifax. I don't know if that's kind of a silly thing because me and lace don't really get along, but it's a possibility. I'm going to cake it up anyway and see what it's like to start. So that's what's going to be coming down the pipeline for me. So now let's talk about some cross stitch. There is a new podcast I wanted to tell you about. She's trying to fly under the radar, as she calls it, but once you start a podcast, you can't really fly under the radar. Her name is Robin, and she is known as Willow Caroline on Instagram, and her podcast name is Mama Flock Knits. She has 2 episodes up already. She's going to surpass me, I'm sure, because I'm only on number 12, and I've been doing this for a year. But you should definitely check her out. She's got a section where she talks about things that are vintage, and she has so many cool vintage needles and that from her, I think she said grandmother. I don't think it was mother. I think it was grandmother. Or maybe it was mother. I'm not sure. Anyway, so she has acquired so many knitting accessories and that are vintage that are so cool to see. Little sock needles and in little tubes and everything. And then she has some projects that she found in amongst the things while she was clearing out the house that either belonged to her grandmother or mother, whoever it was, but that were almost finished but not quite. And it kind of had me thinking about all of the things that I want to get finished but are not quite finished. And one of them is this cross stitch that I started. I started this when we lived on the ridge, so I mean it's been years. I think T was only 3. And it's an Etsy pattern. There's no real picture of it, so I'm just going to have to show you the chart. The seller was Dance Needle, and basically, I'll hold it back here, it is 4 little birdies on a stick. Now, the idea behind this is that my daughter has a comforter that had these colors in it, and she liked birds at the time, so we thought this would be perfect for her room. Now, she still has the comforter that she uses in the summertime, but she's kind of changed to a different comforter, but she still wanted me to finish this to hang in her room. So, here's what I've got done. Oh, this is sad. I started it with gusto, and then I just kind of left off. So I've got one little birdie and a heart, and some of the branch done. So, the actually inside the belly is going to be white too, so I really don't have a lot done, do I? But I asked her, I have this one started, and I have the one from the Pumpkin Stitchery started for her, with all of the traveling places. That was kind of like a monthly thing. Now, I started that halfway through, so there was no way I was going to keep up with the monthly, but I kind of fell off the wagon altogether. So it was either, did you want me to finish this one, or did you want me to finish the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery one? And she decided on the birds. So I'm going to try and get this done for her as quickly as possible, because I have another cross stitch that I have in my mind that I just want to start, and I don't want to start it until I have something finished, because I don't want to be like Robin and have her or her children find this and realize why did I start it and why did I not finish it. So I'm going to finish it for her. So that's kind of going to be one of my goals to do maybe over the next month, is to finish this. I think I can do it in the next month. I don't know. We're going to give it a go. So that's what I'm going to be working on for the next little bit. So I think that is all I have to share with you. I was going to have T on here. She has a couple of treasures to talk about from our vacation. So if I don't insert them into this podcast somewhere, then you can see her next time when she comes on. So today I have T with me, my daughter, and she's going to show you some things that she would like to share with you.
Cinder's here too.
And Cinder. Do you want me to hold Cinder?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's my Beanie Boo.
Carry on. Whatever you got first.
Okay. I'll start with this then.
Okay. So open it up and tell us what it is. You gotta speak loud so you can hear.
Okay. What are you doing? Stop that, Cinder. So, when we were in camping, we were biking on one of the trails, and I found railroad spikes and a giant screw. Apparently, it's a giant screw from the railroad track. I got 2 spikes and 1 giant screw.
So you should say that the biking trail we were on used to be a railroad track, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the biking trail we were on used to be a railroad track, and apparently they just came up through the dirt.
So where did you find them?
On the road.
So you were just biking along and it was there?
Well, one of the spikes we did find, Daddy did find on the side-by-side when we were on that trail.
Okay. You gonna hold them up so we can see?
Yeah, they're heavy, and you do it one by one.
Okay.
Because they're heavy. That's the giant screw.
Okay, and what do you have, what happened with the screw? Because we kind of looked for something for a while to go with this. Do you remember? Remember we went down the bike track after and we were looking for something that goes with it?
Yeah. There was like a giant nutter bolt, I don't know what it is called, that went with it. I saw it on the bike trail when we found that grew, but I'd never picked it up. And when we went back to look in it, it wasn't there, so we just had to bring those back.
Okay. So what else do you have?
2 spikes.
Now, do you know what those, can you tell us about where they were used? Or what they did for a job?
Well, they held the pieces of the railroad track together, I think.
Okay, so I think with the picture that we saw, the railroad track was in here.
No, but we actually saw it on that railroad in the Woodsman thing.
That's right, in the Woodsman Museum. So the piece of wood would go here, and you can kind of see that there's a lip on the spike, so the wood would go, and then the spike would hold over onto the wood to hold it in its spot.
And then there would be more, and then another one would go there.
Right, and they were pretty close together, right?
Yeah.
So there would have been...
Can you do that again? Like hold your hand out and then do the thing. And then they were quite close together too. So there would be one right here, and also there would be one right here as well.
Right. So they would have used tons and tons and thousands of these to build the railroad, right?
Billions.
Millions, yeah, probably. And how did they put these in?
With a hammer, I think? With a hammer.
Like a big mallet. And it was all by hand. So they would have had to put thousands of these spikes in by hand.
I'm gonna pretend this is the hammer.
Do you think they'd be pretty strong?
Yes. Okay, you hold this with the hand.
Be gentle,
And
please.
do the flat thing.
No, you're not going to hit my arm.
I'm not hitting your arm.
No, we're not going to do that. So this was your treasure that you found, yes?
Yeah.
So you're keeping all these 3
Yeah.
on the railroad track?
I wrapped them in this.
Perfect, because they're kind of rusty, right?
Yeah.
Pretty neat. That's a neat find.
And a very rare one.
T is our resident magpie, and she likes to find things anywhere we go to keep in her little box. So those won't fit in her box.
So I just put them on the shelf below.
Right.
In my bookshelf. That's where I keep my stuff.
Cool. Thanks for sharing your find. You have something else to share with us?
Yes.
Okay.
But I am reading.
What are you reading?
Wait a minute. Where's it? Get in there. I already started this, but I just took the bookmark inside of it. It's the Harry Potter book. I'm reading the Harry Potter series. This is book 3, and I already watched 2 of the movies and read 2 of the books. I haven't watched the 3rd movie yet because I haven't finished the book, but I'm almost done it. I'm probably over halfway through it.
Oh, yeah.
I think I am.
You're like 3/4 of the way. You've only got this much left.
Yeah.
So, how long have you been reading the Harry Potter books? Did you start after school stopped?
Yeah.
So, like a
It
month?
was like a long time after school started. I
Okay.
mean, ended.
So, I think this is going to be the quickest book that you've read, and it's going to be like 2 weeks that you've gone through it to take it to read it. Now, we started off reading them together, and then you left me in the dust.
Hey! I did not!
So, which book so far are you liking the best? The first one, the second one, or the third one?
You know.
Think about it.
I don't even remember the second book.
That was the Chamber of Secrets. Oops. What do you think?
What was the first one?
The first one was when he goes to Hogwarts for the first year.
I like the first one the best.
You like the first one so far?
So far.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite character in the book?
I think I like them all. Well, I only have 3 favorites.
Who was that?
Harry, Ron, and Hermione.
Yeah.
And my next book might take me a little bit longer than the other ones because, and we are looking for the first book and then another book. I think it was the book after this, was it not?
Yeah, I have quite a few of the books, but we don't have the first book, and I think we don't have
The fourth one. It was the Order of the
Phoenix.
Yeah.
Order of the Phoenix. So we need 2 of them to complete our set.
Yeah, but the next few books might take me longer than the first couple because Mommy has them in a fat version.
They're all fat. So
Most of them are.
these books are 300 pages, and the next book from this one on is 700 pages. So it's going to take her a while to read the next one.
It might take me a bit to figure out how I'm going to hold it as well.
Yeah, yeah, it's a big one.
Yeah, they're fat.
But do you want to tell the story about this book, how we got this book? Because we didn't have this one originally.
Yeah, we used to have we used to not have 3 of them. But we were looking for it as a library book, and there's like a sales desk on the side where you can go over and see some books, and you can pay for them at the library, and you don't have to return them, so you can keep them. And so we were looking for that one in the library because I had finished the second one. It's The Prisoner of Azkaban. And then, so we went over to check the sales thing, and it was sitting right there.
The book that we were looking for, and we couldn't find it in the library when we went to, it said that they had it online, and when I went to look for it, it wasn't on the shelf.
So we were lucky.
And there it was in the sales section, so we got to take it home and add it to the collection. So we have 2 more to find. And there's a big book sale that goes on every year uptown, so we're going to check that out next month, and maybe we'll find the first and the fourth.
Okay, here's my thing I have to do now.
So thank you for coming and sharing your treasures and your book with us. It was nice to have you. Will you come back again
Yeah.
to find another treasure on our trip?
Yeah.
What do you think of our covered bridge quest?
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. How many do you think we're going to find before school starts?
How many what?
Covered bridges? Yeah. Do you remember how many I told you there are altogether?
60.
So how many do you think we're going to find or get to before school starts?
Probably 10, not including those other ones we already saw.
So 10 more, you think? So 12 altogether?
Yeah.
I wonder. We'll have to wait and see. So I think that's all I have to share with you. I wanted to get something out before it got to be too long. I know that once you don't podcast for a while, it gets harder and harder to get back into it because you kind of forget what you've shown and what you haven't, and whatever's going on in life. So I hope you all enjoyed that. It's nice to be back, and I guess I will see you guys soon. I'm sure I will podcast again next month before school starts because I have to go back to work part-time. So it's going to get a little busier, but we will see what happens. Anyway, thanks for joining me, and I would love to hear from you guys. Have fun, and I'll see you soon.